I can call to order Transportation Committee, January 19th. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Collins,
Excuse.
Commissioner Cross,
Here.
Commissioner Derzinski.
Here.
Commissioner Engel,
Here.
Commissioner Jagger,
Here.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Here.
Commissioner Plummer,
Here.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Here.
Commissioner Snyder,
Excuse.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Here.
Commissioner Longmire.
Present. Okay, next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. So moved. Second. Questions or comments? Next item on the agenda is informational items. Oh, sorry. All those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? Next item on the agenda, informational items.
Move to be accepted and placed on file. Second.
Questions, comments? Move on to the next item. I'm sorry. Roll call, please. Voice vote, I'm sorry. Forgive me, I'm a rookie at this. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, next item on the agenda. Set aside for public comment. Anybody in the audience like to make a comment on the agenda item? If not, move forward. Items for consideration. GR.
Mr. Chair, before we start to consider that, Mr. Lucas may, or Marty might want to introduce, we have some people here from the car rental place, if it's okay.
The motion to suspend the rules.
So, why don't we make a motion on the car rentals stuff and then
That works.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk. That's okay.
Okay.
get the
I
motion
move.
and then I can-
TR 120101.
Second. Any questions or comments?
I will move we suspend the rules and allow support.
Marty.
All right.
Good afternoon, Marty Piet, Airport Manager. Yes, the first item we have is the approval of the RFQ for rental car services. We do have a few representatives here today. We had a meeting earlier this afternoon regarding the currently expired leases and the intention to create some new leases. So we're able to just kind of have a casual conversation, get to know each other a little bit better. But I do have a couple of representatives. We can either do it here on the next items, if you rather, whichever your pleasure is. But I have Josh Bloom from Avis Rent-A-Car System, and you can have him come up and say hello, and then I can introduce our next individual.
Then we're fine.
Good afternoon, I'm Josh Blum, I'm Regional Director of Properties for Avis and Budget Rent-A-Car, based out of Dallas. I'm really here to answer any questions that we have about the agenda item, and have no prepared comments, so feel free to ask any questions upon presentation of the agenda item.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Anybody else want to introduce Mark?
We have some representatives also from Enterprise, Alamo. We have Barb Matthew and a couple of others.
Thank you, Marie. I'm Barb Matthew, Regional Director for Enterprise National in Alamo. The Enterprise Holdings, Inc. actually operates 3 brands now, Enterprise, National, and Alamo. And like Josh, my competitor, I have no prepared comments. I would just have, I'd be willing to respond to any questions you might have about the agenda item. We're looking forward to the next RFQ or RFP or whatever, and hope to continue our operation here at the school. Thank you.
Any more questions, comments, Mark? Anything else? Commissioner Jagger?
So are we gonna have 2 companies that actually, I mean, there's 3 companies here. I guess it goes over all these, it goes. So what exactly do we have when we're done here? We're gonna, I don't know if that's what I'm asking you or what, but.
Today what we have basically 3 rental car counters. So the first rental car counter that we have is Hertz, a standalone Hertz company. We also have National Alamo, and It's basically two different car companies combined working at one agency or one counter. And then we also have the Avis brand name right now. So we have, that's it, 3 counters, 2 of them are individual names, and the third one has 2 names to it.
Okay, so, and it doesn't have any contract problems, or, like, since we're gonna have more than one now?
The only thing that we would do is just, we're seeking basically an amendment to the contract to allow them to add a second or third name to their existing single name.
Commissioner?
And I guess I'm asking the questions. I'm a little confused, how's that? This would allow them different spaces or different permissions, I guess, and what is our responsibility and what are?
Well, I guess, at this point, I guess we're just on the one action item, is that,
Just on the first one.
which is the RFQ. And then I can get into the other ones, and maybe we can bring them up to the dual branding, the tri-branding request.
Ms. Golden?
I think I'll wait until we get on to the other items. This be easier.
More questions, comments? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next on the agenda, TR 12/01-02.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments? Motion. All those approved, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Next on the agenda is TR 12/01-03.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments?
I'm still back to what are we doing?
I'll jump in and just cut me off if I'm out of order here. But the one item, basically, we have the first, the motion, which is seeking the RFQ because our lease is expired with all of our existing rental car agencies. Then we move into the separate issue, which we have 2 different requests from 2 of our rental car agencies one of them is asking to dual brand, one is asking to tri-brand. Backing up to the one that's asking to dual brand, that's Avis. Avis operates at the airport, they have a counter, and it just says Avis and all of their marketing materials. They also, the company also owns and operates Budget. So 2 different rental car companies. So they're asking to dual brand that location so that they can offer rental cars under the Avis and the Budget name. A good reason why you might want to do that, certain companies may have contracts set up with Budget, and that's where they rent their cars, or they might have a contract set up through Avis. So it allows them to basically sell cars under those, rent cars under both brand names at one location, rather than sending customers to separate locations. So we currently have 3 rental car counters. We would maintain those 3 rental car counters. Just in the case of Avis, they may add another sign underneath Avis that says Budget as well.
It won't necessarily mean raising or lower volume of available cars. It's simply a matter of offering different choices to the customer. Is that correct?
It's both, actually. It would offer more choices to the customer, and I would suspect, and they might want to correct me if I'm wrong, but I would expect to see more customers and then more availability of vehicles. I'm not sure of the exact fleet of Avis or Budget, but a lot of times they have a different type of fleet. So maybe there would be more larger vans available for rent than we have currently. So I think it would improve the inventory as well as improve the customer base.
Commissioner Scoldy?
I have a couple questions. One is, I'm just curious, is the Hertz agency is locally owned, I think, it used to be. So this Enterprise is operated by Enterprise. I mean, it's a corporate store, it's not a locally owned store, is that correct?
I guess
I
I would
don't
have
care,
to.
I'm just,
The Enterprise entity is, they are a Michigan company, and they operate at the different Michigan airports and also city locations. But they do own the Alamo and National brands. The current contract you have here right now is with Alamo and National. It's owned by Enterprise, but only operating the Alamo and National brands. So we would like to also add the Enterprise brand at this time, until the new RFQ comes out. But to add the new Enterprise brand at this time, as you pointed out, it offers the customers more choices. Many airport customers like Enterprise, and so they like to, rent from Enterprise when they come.
Well, this actually is a positive thing, because if you try to, like, some people prefer certain brands, they think there is some, program that gives them some benefits. And those, like, if you try to rent a car, Muskegon is really a bad place to rent a car, or has been, because there really aren't a lot of choices to rent cars. So this, even though it's tri-branding or dual branding, it'll at least appear that there's way more choices to rent cars. So that inventory that you're gonna have at the airport, do you share among all three brands, or does each one have its own inventory?
I'll let Matt speak to that.
They actually,
You need to give us your name just for the thing.
This is Anthony's committee.
He's whispering at me.
hello, good afternoon. My name's Matt Pearl. I'm a controller actually with Enterprise. I'm actually based out of Lansing, Michigan. Directly to your question about how the units are shared, going back a few years, all the rental car companies, they all own their own set of vehicles. From a convenience standpoint, with the dual or tri-branding, we now have the ability to all own, at least our three brands, they're all shared vehicles. So it could be advantageous to, for example, a customer getting off of a plane, they're able to rent a car if they need to travel somewhere, they can return it to different locations. So we wouldn't have three independent pools, but the business mix of those vehicles would be different. For example, a national brand, at least for us, there's a lot of the corporate business clientele. Alamo is more of a vacation leisure, type of a brand. So they all have distinct customer bases, if you will. And Enterprise is a little bit of probably all of that, but so by having three, it's advantageous to the customer by having.
Will you have more cars then at the airport? Do you expect to need more cars at the airport?
At this point, not necessarily. A lot of the rentals are based off of deplaning passengers, the amount of passengers that are coming in. It simply gives Muskegon Airport customers better options, or maybe one that they're more familiar with. Renters tend to be what we call creatures of habit. When they like something, it gives them options.
Well, the reason I mention all this is because yesterday, one of my family members, who I'm trying to forget about, got in an accident. And, the insurance company had to deal with Enterprise because the rental coverage and things.
Sure.
So we went to rent a car. They didn't have a single car. So they gave us what they did have, which was a van, which I'm happy about. But the van was, the rental coverage was for relatively $30, so it wasn't very much. So I'm looking around the lot, and that was the only thing in the whole lot. And so I don't know how many cars you have in Muskegon, but apparently could use a few more.
I think all the car companies would be open to, obviously, more business. And a lot of times that if it's dictated by weather, there's certain times when we rent more cars than another. Obviously, we would like the opportunity to service the community in as many ways as possible, give as many options. If that leads to obviously an increase in business, or maybe potential of a corporate account that could fly into the airport because they know that there's a new brand now that they would like to use. No facts to back that up, but it's.
So in this county then, you have cars at the airport and at one off-site location?
We actually have them now. We actually have we have 3 locations outside of the airport with the Enterprise brand, and now in Muskegon. We service the ferry. We're inside the dealership Benton, and we have our main location. What road?
Which Henry Street?
On Henry Street. So we relocated it not long ago, but so we've had the the luxury of being able to continue to grow with Muskegon County and
But I would like to address the question of not having enough vehicles, because we're a corporation, or a limited liability company that is statewide here. If Muskegon grows, we grow with you, because we can fleet up. If there's an immediate need, we can bring vehicles over from Grand Rapids, from Lansing, from Kalamazoo, if we see an immediate need here. So we can be very flexible with our fleet that way,
Okay.
because it's owned by one company.
One last question, is Enterprise privately owned?
Yes.
I mean, it's an individual owns that whole
An
thing.
individual, well, family, yes, out of St. Louis.
Ma'am, could we just get your name for the record, please?
Barbara Mathy, Mathey.
Commissioner Derzinski.
The gentleman from Burton, sir, is this going to have any derogatory effect on either of your businesses, or?
I apologize. My name's Josh Plum. I'm from Avis.
I'm sorry.
No, it's quite all right. As long as Avis is paying my check, I gotta give them their due. Everything that my essentially competitor said is exactly correct. I mean, I think that it's an important change for a variety of reasons, and really it is the marketing aspects, those corporate relationships that we have. We've got a lot of feedback from people in the community saying, why isn't the budget brand here? And that's not only corporate customers, but it's also, there's a lot of these discount programs like a Costco or something where somebody's a Costco member and they get a discount with budget. Well, obviously we can't give them that discount in Muskegon because there is no budget outlet.
So this is a win-win for both companies?
It really is a win-win, and I think the underlying point that we were trying to make with regard to vehicles is we don't want to turn away business. So especially for me, if I can tell our fleet people that we now have 2 brands operating in Muskegon, we need more cars, we're certainly bringing more cars in. I mean, we can all fleet up to meet the demand. We're just trying to do whatever we can to meet the demand. Very similar to the Northern Tools discussion earlier about, we're really looking at being more proactive as to how we can generate more business, as opposed to sitting back and saying, to Marty or the rest of the airports, bring in more customers. We're trying to figure out ways to bring more customers onto the airport. I hope that answers your question.
Excellent, thank you.
I have a question for you, sir.
Yes.
So you're getting, these cars will be at the airport by summer, traveling 4th of July, so people can come, like Commissioner Skolnick said, won't be a shortage of cars there.
We have cars on the ground right now that are not, we're just like everybody else. Nobody has individual cars for individual brands anymore. We all have kind of a shared pool. So I have Avis cars right now at Muskegon that if I had the rights to operate the budget brand, I could rent those to budget customers. We all have advanced reservation systems, so we have a pretty good idea, what's coming to Muskegon over the summer. And obviously we've operated at the airport for decades. So we know about the air show and all these other events that occur and what the ebbs and flows of traffic are. So we do our best. And the only time that we can't meet the customer's needs in Muskegon is if we're out of cars everywhere, because we're the same way. We can bring things from Grand Rapids, we can bring things from Chicago, from Detroit to meet the needs. But if we're out of cars everywhere, like it's the true peak of the summer when everybody's out of cars everywhere, including the O'Hares and the DFWs of the world, then obviously there does come a point where you just don't have any more cars.
One other question. A few years ago, Avis had some issues with race. Black customers not getting good treatment when they rent their cars. I don't know if you heard about it.
I don't know what you speak. I mean, obviously, I'm a corporate employee. I mean, we have a standard anti-discrimination policy. We certainly don't. If you have specific questions about a specific case, I can certainly direct you to our public affairs. But obviously, I don't. I hate to speak on things that I don't.
Right, I don't want to put you on blast in front of competitors.
No. I mean, we all. Unfortunately, I mean, we do so many transactions. There's always some type of litigation involving a million different things. So I'm not. If you say, you've been sued before, I can certainly turn to every one of my competitors and say they've also been sued before. So I mean, it's just unfortunately the nature of the business or doing business. Things occur, especially when you're dealing with automobiles and accidents and whatnot. But certainly I can point you in the right direction if you had questions about a specific instance or whatnot.
Not specific. I thought you meant it.
I mean, clearly,
the policy, since that happened.
I mean, we have a very aggressive anti-discrimination policy. We are what's called $1 billion spend on NWDBE, minority women business disadvantaged business enterprises. So we essentially consider ourselves an industry leader in terms of these type of spends and bringing in that type of money in terms of participation with our operations at airports and off airports.
Thank you.
So,
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We're on number 4, correct? 3.
No, we are.
That was 3.
We did 2 without any.
Four. All right. TR 12/01-04.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Commissioner Jagger.
Would this be the same amount of money we are presently getting?
Jim Coates, Muskegon Area Transit. This application is for the most part, a status quo of what we applied for fiscal 12, so it is very much a continuation of the state match. It provides funding to assist in operating the transit system as well as matching capital grants that we anticipate from the federal government.
What, do we put like a 2% in there to allow for inflation? Or anything?
There are some adjustments in the operating budget numbers, just small incremental changes based upon what our 2011 actual expenses were and some minor adjustments in a few places.
Have we found that they've tried to send less as the last few years went by, or did they?
Well, without going into great detail, the way that the state operating assistance works is, yes, it has gone up and down every year. The percentage operating assistance in here, I think, is 30.65% is our estimated assistance from the state. And what the state of Michigan has done for several years is they have a set amount of money on a bus operating line item in the state budget, and that money is distributed to the transit systems by this formula. As all transit systems expenses go up statewide, everybody gets a little bit less because that line item has not been changing or increasing. So every time expenses grow, whether it be through wages, benefits, fuel, that does increase the expenses for all transit agencies, and the state participation drops a little bit. We are authorized by state law to receive up to 50% reimbursement. As you can see, we're at 30.65. So it's been hovering right around 30 to 31 for the last few years.
Well, what happens if it does come in lower? Do we have to cut service, or does it still? Is that where it goes, or can we absorb it to a certain extent? Or?
Well, to a certain extent, we adjust as it moves. This is the number they're giving us as an estimate for 2013.
Okay.
Commissioner Derozitsky.
Just a couple of line items. What was SSOA?
SSOA stands for Specialized Services Operating Assistance. Those are funds from the state of Michigan that are state funds to nonprofit agencies. But the nonprofit agencies, the funds have to be sent through the county and then passed on to those agencies.
Okay, and the other acronym, JARC?
We are not involved in any JARC funds this year. That's Job Access and Reverse Commutation. But we're not participating in that.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Next on the agenda is old business. Anyone wish to speak on any old business? Seeing none, any new business? Commissioner Jagger.
They said something about that buses weren't getting shoveled right or something. Is that, are we getting that handled, or?
Yes, there is a program underway, Commissioner. Now there are two groups of bus system staff, or MAT system staff, that are out shoveling the bus stops and county areas, other areas of high traffic where where bus passengers are picked up and dropped off. So that program is underway, and we're continuing to review that. Also, I think it was just this week we added, the second crew was added this week. So there are 2 crews out doing that.
Okay. Do we use prisoners and things to do this too?
They are used.
Okay, very good.
Just to add to that, Commissioner Jagger, I did see some inmates, I guess they were inmates, out shoveling. They had them bright vests around.
Yes, and they have a staff member with them directing them and transporting them to the sites, to the various bus stop sites and other sites throughout the county that need shoveling.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Set aside, now we set aside time for public comment on a new topic. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on a new topic? Seeing none, motion to adjourn.